I thought, okay, I'm going to have to get promoted almost every year, not just a raise, but actual promotions
You
just to
don't have a
keep,
choice. You have to.
yeah, like, our daughter, we were paying $3,000 a month for a toddler in daycare. I mean, that with our mortgage, we thought, okay, if we have a second child, the mortgage and two daycares is $10,000 a month, and that's not even
Oh my
talking
God.
living expenses, let alone
That's
anything you can.
before you've paid a bill or bought any
Oh,
food.
exactly.
That's yeah.
Let alone like traveling or doing any sort of holiday. So like, we saw that writing on the wall, and we thought, okay, we both have to get continuous promotions, all the time, just to make things stay the same. Let alone save more and get, move up in the world. So at that time, we thought, okay, we don't have that job. That's, I guess maybe we had one golden handcuff. We weren't fully tied in. We thought, you know what, these jobs are paying well, but um, it was easier to leave, I think, than it maybe would have been if had we been in a really high paying tech job. Um, so yeah, we made that decision about 6 months before we actually quit. We said, all right, this is our plan. How can we back into it? We made a little calendar. We want to sell the house. We want to sell almost all of our belongings. Let's back into when we need to start these in the process. Give notice to our employer. Wait for that bonus to check check to come
Mm,
in, then give notice. We did it all that way.
sure.
And it worked out really well. And so that basically, we funded our gap year, almost probably 70% of it from our bonuses that year, and we
So
didn't really
so
have to
so
touch savings.
so the timeline on this is, you know, you're with your wife, you've got one young child. How old was your child at that point when you were making these decisions?
We had just come back from one of those like quick weeks away to try to decompress, and went to Hawaii with our daughter. She had just turned one. We came back from that, and that's when we were like, let's start talking about what we're doing here with our lives. And from that was in October or November, I guess, and we came back and we were out the door on our way on our gap year the following June. So it was about
Right.
6 months, 7 months planning.
Okay. And at this point, the plan was, as you said, it was a gap year. So you was going to go away, you was going to spend a year, have some fun. But at the end of that, the idea was to come back and kind of pick up.
Yeah, exactly. We'd been out on the West Coast, and all of our families from the Midwest, from Michigan. So we thought, we're going to do this. We're not going to really work for a year. We're going to think about what we want for this next chapter of our careers. Like, what do we want to do that's
Mm.
passionate, that we're passionate about? What dreams do we want to follow? And even if they make us less money, let's move to an area of the country where it's lower cost of living. We can be closer to the grandparents for the bonding aspect. So that was our goal, and that's what we ended up doing. We went back to Michigan, middle of 2019, rented a house there for a year just to kind of get our grasp on where we wanted to be and make sure we were in the right spot. Um, and I had started doing some photography stuff during that gap year in social media, and I came back and started working as like a real estate photographer and videographer. Um, but I mean, we were only back a couple months before we planned another 2 months getaway in that fall. We thought, like, let's, we got the taste of that gap year, and we thought we need to keep this flexibility going as long as we can. My wife had started working back in finance as a remotely before COVID. It was great, and I was doing this real estate photography gig. And my wife was pregnant at that time with our second child, and he was born 2 weeks after the COVID lockdowns. So we were a bit
I
locked
think
in.
it's I think that is a great thing to do, Ben. We're not saying that everybody needs to, follow in your footsteps completely and go completely, for years and years and years, but purely to take, because sometimes, the old expression, you can't see the, what is it, the woods for the trees. If you're deep, if you're deep in the trenches, right? The bills are coming in, the job, the family, day to day, week to week, month to month. Sometimes you just need to say, you know what? I need space. I need some space to just go and sit and be in a different environment and think and just have the space to really reevaluate things and think,
Mhm.
okay, what's important here? What do I truly want? What's my options? Because sometimes when you're deep in the trenches, it's just like you just like, just getting punched in the face every single
Yeah,
day. And it becomes about survival rather than actually living. Right. So I would recommend
yeah,
to anyone, if you can, or if you can find a way, or if you can just pull together the courage to say, you know what, I need this and I'm going to make it work regardless. Don't go in blind, have a bit of a plan, but just
Yeah.
take that 6 months, take that 12 months, go somewhere idyllic, go somewhere that's on your bucket list, and just sit and be and think and reevaluate. I think that's a great way to start.
Yeah, exactly. That was our plan. We thought we can always fall back into the what our degrees and our what our corporate careers were. That's not that uncommon that you have a gap year saying, "Hey, we just needed a reset, but I'm back. I'm ready to go again." It could have just been
Yeah.
a break, and we could have gone back into the corporate life. But for us, that allowed my wife to start working remotely in finance, which before COVID was, she got a little bit of a gold mine role where she could work with this company remotely. And then I started doing the creative stuff, which is what I think I had fallen out of love with my old finance career because I wanted to be more creative. So I started doing
Right.
photography and videography. We started, managing our social media channels and our blog and all that. And then, COVID hit. My son was born 2 weeks later, and it was winter in Michigan, and we kind of just, it was a bad chunk of time there for everybody, right? And so as soon as things opened up enough for us in 2021, well, I should backtrack. We had rented there in Michigan for that first year. In June 2020, we bought a condo, 2 bed, 2 bath, right in the heart of Traverse City, right in a great spot. And we knew it was zoned for short-term rentals, so we had this longer-term plan that we could live there, and then in the summers we would go and travel for like 3 months and rent it out during the peak season. So sure enough, 2021 came, things started opening up a bit with travel, and we thought, well, let's try it out. So we put our place on the on Airbnb, and we left the end of May and came back. I guess it was 1st of November, and during that like 5 month stretch, we ended up making like 2 years worth of mortgage. Like, it was amazing how much. I mean, there was such demand after COVID that people were willing to go away just for a weekend, just to get out of their
Mm.
town or their house, right?
Right.
So it was a great intro to short-term rentals for us.
That
And we thought, okay, this is great. We got to figure out a way to do this more and allow us to travel more.